All right, here we go. So, in this episode, what I want to discuss is something that is going to probably ruffle a couple of feathers. You may or may not agree with what I'm going to say, but honestly, I don't care. Doing what I do and working with the people that I work with, I see this sort of thing all the time, that it ultimately what it does, it just causes more destruction than it does any benefits. And what that thing is relationships, romantic relationships, especially in early recovery. When I say early recovery, I'm not putting a time limit or a time frame on this. Oftentimes you'll hear people say, don't get into a relationship for the first year, which makes sense. Or you'll hear, get a plant, keep a plant alive. If you can keep a plant alive, then get a pet. And then if you can keep a pet alive, then you can have a relationship and yada, yada, yada. All these things that people say, whatever, we can go on and on. But the bottom line is that we see it all too often as people that work with drug addicts and alcoholics, and being a drug addict and an alcoholic myself, I know what it's like to have my priorities completely out of whack. And most people tend to do that or try to do that for whatever reason, because if you take away the drugs, you take away the alcohol, what's the next best thing that is going to give us that dopamine hit, that feeling of euphoria, that feel-good feeling that we're always yearning for as addicts and alcoholics? The next best thing is sex. It really is. And a lot of people prioritize relationships, whether romantic and meaningful relationships or not. People will put sex up on this like pedestal, and hey, I'm clean, I'm sober, I'm doing all these things, but there's nothing wrong with going out and dating and having sex with other people and yada yada. What's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with it is that we are probably not in a position to where we need to be focusing on something like that, because when that relationship goes astray, which it will, what are you going to do? Where are you going to turn? How are you going to get through that? We hear this thing called rehab romance all the time. People meet in detox and they think that they're meant for each other, that, we're going to get married and have children and have the white picket fence and all this BS. When 2 weeks later, they want nothing to do with one another, or one person wants nothing to do with the other person. And then ultimately what ends up happening is, one person uses, then the other person uses, or they go out together, get high together, get drunk together, whatever the case is. Misery loves company. If we meet somebody in rehab, it's not going to work. Don't ever try and fool yourself that it's going to. But ultimately what we're trying to do is just get outside of ourselves, because we can't handle the way that we feel without drugs, without alcohol. But if I have that person that fulfills that need, I'm going to latch onto that person, when really what we should be doing is just focusing on ourselves, understanding I don't have time for a relationship right now. I don't have anything to offer a relationship right now. What I need to focus on is getting my act together and figuring myself out. So if you're in a position to where you're considering having a relationship, and you're newly sober, or you're already in a relationship and you're newly sober, I really challenge you to think about this, to process this, do some serious internal seeking is this something that you really want to go down? Because chances are the relationship isn't going to work, and somebody's going to get hurt, and somebody is, or if not both of you, are at high risk for relapse. So that is it. Later.